What is up, guys, man? We are back with, and we're here, man. Week 0 is just around the corner, man. Kickoff is Saturday. A slate of games that we're going to cover for this weekend, man. We're still going to be covering both the FBS and FCS level. We're going to have a lot more FCS previews this season. We're also going to have some previews, even if you don't see it on our YouTube channel. You can head to our website, thebluebloodspod.com, for more coverage across the FCS. It's completely an FCS centric website, man. So make sure to go check that out. We listed the Senior Bowl watch list today and a bunch of other cool updates, man. If you're looking for recruiting updates throughout the season, that is where you can find it. But one of the biggest games of the weekend, our game of the week here, right here on the Blue Bloods. And y'all know what the game of the week means. Comment your score predictions below, who you think is going to win. If you get the score correct, man, we're going to do a Venmo giveaway, $50 to the correct score winner. And you have to predict the right team to win, of course, man. So comment that below. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well. But Howard versus Alabama State, MEAC SWAC challenge in a game that I think when you look at the records, an average fan wouldn't get excited. But when you look at what these teams are returning, some of the storylines surrounding this game becomes a lot more intriguing as a week 0 game. You have Howard, who they're returning a lot of talent from last season, a year in which they had some games that they let slip away, but they had a big win over Sacred Heart, a playoff team who went and won a playoff game as a three in a row NEC champion. And then on the Alabama State side, you have a team with a lot of question marks. You have a new quarterback in Demetrius Davis. You have a new head coach in Eddie Robinson Jr. And you have a lot of positions that are going to be experiencing a whole lot of new faces stepping up into the lead roles at a few of those spots, man. When you look at this game, let's just look at the game history 2021 records. Alabama State coming off a 5-6 record last year. 3-5 in the SWAC, like I mentioned, year one for head coach Eddie Robinson Jr. Howard's coming off a 3-8 season, 1-4 in conference play. Larry Scott's entering year 3 after a 3-10 record thus far throughout his time at Howard. Now, the MEAC has historically dominated this game. They're running a 2-game win streak, and the MEAC leads the all-time series 11-4. And on that 2-game win streak, of course, the 2020 game was canceled due to COVID. But this is a big game, and a lot of SWAC fans that I've been hearing from are saying that this is a very important game for Alabama State to win, just for the perception of the conference. To go into this game and not come out with the victory would be a real damper to the start of the season for the SWAC. And so this is a lot of people are looking at this as a must win for Alabama State. And I'm really interested to see, with all these question marks, what that team potentially looks like. But an 11-4 lead for the MEAC right now in this game. Now, some stats to know, of course, you had to use stats from last year, but some things that I'm really looking for is, can Alabama State get to the quarterback as well as they did last year? 26 total sacks as a team last year. That was top 5 in the SWAC. And when you look at Howard's offensive line, they had, at least in our publication, 2 all conference offensive linemen. And both of them have major size. I mean, I named Dankworth, I believe, is 6'8", like almost 330, 340. Man, the dude is a mountain of a man. But this offensive line returns most of the production from last year, and they're going to be really gelled together. The chemistry should be built, and that is why they were able to run the ball so well at times last year. So Alabama State, who is losing Christian Clark, who really and truly did not have a guy on the defensive line as a bona fide pass rusher. Jake Howard at the linebacker spot led the team in sacks. He's back, but they're missing Joshua Long, who was their second leading sack leader. I mentioned they're still missing Christian Clark, who was really great at getting upfield and being disruptive in the run game. Can they find someone to go get after the passer? Hey, go and get a guy, Nelson Jordan from Stanford, who was an all conference player as a freshman. But will they have anyone emerge on the edge that can really get upfield and get to the quarterback and be a factor week in and week out that you're going to have to account for? That's a major question mark for me. They did a great job on third down as a defensive team last year, too, holding opponents to only 33% success on third downs in last season. That's a big thing. If you can get a team to third down and make sure that they aren't achieving those third downs, man. That really helps you, man. It keeps your offense fresh. It also keeps the defense off the field for long periods of time. So I think Alabama State, the defense is going to be a major key, man. I picked two defensive stats because we have so many question marks surrounding the offense that using any of the offensive stats from last year are not going to work because it's going to be a completely new scheme, new quarterback, revamped wide receiving core, revamp O line at certain spots outside of Austin, who was an all SWAC selection. Ja'Cory Merritt is still there at the running back spot, but man, there's a lot of question marks surrounding him. So the defense for Alabama State is going to have to play well to allow the offense to gel without a lot of pressure. If Howard jumps up early in this game, it's really not going to bode well for Alabama State because that offense in its first ever real game action cannot get down early and have a lot of pressure to have to go put up points. Alabama State's defense is going to have to carry this team early, in my opinion. Now, Howard 353 yards per game last season. The offense could move the football, man. It was just question mark about could the defense stop anybody at times. And the key for the offense, man, is if they can get in the red zone and be as efficient as they were last year, 27 out of 32 on their red zone scoring attempts. That's about 84%. Having that success in the red zone and making sure if you are in scoring position, you get points, whether it's 3, 7, keep putting points on the board and keep putting Alabama State pressure on Alabama State's offense. Those are going to be some stats to know and keys for this game, in my opinion, for both Howard and Alabama State. Now, players to watch for Alabama State, man, it starts with Earshot Davis on the defensive side. This is a guy who's a first team all SWAC selection, box to row All American as well last year. Last season, man, 65 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions for his career. I mean, over 170 tackles, man. This guy has done it at a high level since he stepped on campus for the Hornets. And this is a guy as a true freshman, man, was a two-time FCS Stats Freshman of the Week honorable mention. So Earshot Davis has to be the leader of that defense, and I think he will. He's one of my favorite players in the SWAC to watch. I think if he can be the leader and really get some of these new pieces on the defense to gel early, Alabama State has a really great shot in this game. And of course, man, the player to watch on offense was always easy to pick out. It's Demetrius Davis at the quarterback spot. Former Auburn four-star quarterback, was a top 250 prospect in his class in the entire country. In high school, had threw for over 9,000 yards in high school, over 111 passing touchdowns, and also was able to do a lot with his legs. And this is a guy who I'm really rooting to have a big game. I think he has all the talent in the world. There's been some mixed reviews coming out of fall camp, but I think he's the type of quarterback that practice isn't going to show his full skill set due to no contact and things like that. Demetrius Davis to me is a guy who's going to come into the game and he is just a playmaker and a gamer, and that's something that you always can't simulate and it always doesn't translate in practice. And so I think Demetrius Davis is going to be just fine, but he's going to have a big game. The quarterback spot was a real weakness last year for Alabama State. They were not able to move the ball efficiently through the air. And if Demetrius Davis is not able to correct that this season, Alabama State could be in big trouble. I'm really interested to see the type of offensive scheme that the Hornets use in this game because you're coming into the season, we don't know what we're going to see. He's a completely different quarterback from Nettles, who was really the main guy the past 2 seasons. I really want to see if they're going to let him get out of the pocket, use his legs, and just let him go out there and be a playmaker. And that is where I think he's at his best. If they try to make him sit in the pocket and be something he's not, this seems like a recipe for disaster for Alabama State. So I'm really hoping they let Davis play into his strengths, get out of the pocket and make some plays with his leg and just show off that pure athleticism, get him on some read options, get him out of the pocket and let him use that speed and agility out in the open field. Now for Howard, this is a big one, man. Darian Brokenber has a chance to really establish himself as one of the best defensive linemen across HBCU football. This is a guy who was a second team All MEAC selection, was first team this preseason, was also a Bluebloods preseason All MEAC selection. 51 tackles, 7.5 for loss, 5.5 sacks over his career right now. The biggest things for him is he has prototypical size for a defensive lineman. His physicality is excellent, man. The power with his hands and the power at the point of attack is something that is really tough to teach, and he just comes with it. And just the strength behind his frame, man, is really impressive. He's one of the better run defenders on the defensive line, especially at that edge spot across HBCU football. And with some of the question marks surrounding the Alabama State offensive line outside of Austin, I really think Brokenberg's going to have a big game. He's going to have to make sure he gets after Davis and keeps him uncomfortable and really and truly starts wreaking havoc in the backfield, man. And this Howard defensive line is going to be a major X factor in this game. And Darian, it starts with Darian Brokenberg on the defensive line. On the offensive side of the football, there were a few guys that I could have went with, but Anton Murray at the wide receiver spot is someone I'm really interested to see if he can take that next step in his game. He was a second team All MEAC selection last season. This preseason, he was one of our top wide receivers in the MEAC, was a Blue Bloods preseason All MEAC selection. Last season, 33 catches, 629 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, leading Howard in the wide receiving category. Now, he has listen, they return all their top players. Anton Murray comes back, Casey Hawthorne comes back. This wide receiving core is mostly intact for a passing attack that was really successful at times last year and really kept them in some games. I've already mentioned Earshot Davis at the safety spot. They're going to have to replace Jacquez Payton in some of those corners. I'm going to be interested to see how Murray and this wide receiving core is able to take advantage of some new guys stepping into big roles for Alabama State. But Murray, Hawthorne, and this excellent wide receiving core, which I think is one of the best in the MEAC, is going to have a big game. They are going to have to go out there and really put on a show. And it starts, of course, with Quentin Williams at the quarterback spot too. He's going to have to build upon what he did last year. He shows some flashes of great potential, but this is a defensive minded football team, and we're really gonna see if Williams took that step forward. I got to talk to him at MEAC Media Day. That they are very, very confident that this team is going to be much improved from last season. And we saw in a Sacred Heart game and some of those close losses. I mean, even in the South Carolina State game, they played those teams very, very close. And so I think Murray is the guy on the offensive side of the ball that you're going to have to know. And when you look at this run game, I mentioned the defense for Alabama State. The rushing attack for Howard is something that I know a lot of people are excited about. Eden James, of course, has had rave reviews out of camp, and a lot of people are excited to see what he can do. Of course, Eden James, the son of Edrin James, but people also forget Howard returns to her top two leading rushers from last season too, and Jarrett Hunter and Ian Wheeler, both coming back after big seasons. As good as the passing attack is, one has to wonder whether Howard leans on the run game early to try to shorten this game up, especially if Alabama State's offense starts to run that hurry up and get real fast pace under Davis and this new coaching staff. I really wonder what the running back rotation is going to look like with Hunter, Wheeler, and even Eden James in that rotation. I'm very, very interested to see how they split the carries this weekend in Atlanta. Now, for my prediction, man, this was one that up until I started recording, I really didn't know where I was going to go until I finalized all the slides and everything like that. I've been going back and forth because part of me, week zero and week one games are the hardest to predict because you don't know what some of these teams are going to be. I mean, I just mentioned Alabama State has so many question marks. But for me, when Howard had the second most all conference selections on in our publication this year with 6, only one behind 7 from South Carolina State. I think the experience, all the talent coming back on the offensive side of the football is going to make them a little bit better in terms of early game situations and not really going through the growing pains that I think you're going to see with Alabama State early. I'm going to go with Howard winning a close game, a back and forth game, 24-20. I don't see this game getting into the 30s unless something outrageous happens. I think early in the season, you're going to see teams try to work out some kinks on the offensive side of the football. The defense should always be a little bit of a step ahead of the offense. I got Howard winning this one 24-20. I think we're going to see We're going to find out a lot about both of these teams. I think Williams and Davis at the quarterback spot might struggle a little bit early, but I think due to Howard having a much deeper running back room and in my opinion, the better O line in this game, I think it gives them the advantage to potentially neutralize any pass rush Alabama State has and really establish the pace of the game that they want to make. And so I'm going with Howard here just due to the experience and due to some of the returning pieces that I know they have coming in terms of Hunter, Wheeler, Hawthorne, Broken Burr. I mean, the list goes on and on. Murray, Williams at the wide receiver and quarterback spot. They just have too much coming back. I think this is Howard's chance to really make a statement that listen, this Howard team is moving in the correct direction. I think Alabama State is going to play sloppy early, but I think they're going to come on late. But I think Howard is going to have enough to hold them off in the end. So Howard 24, Alabama State 20 is my prediction for the MEAC SWAC Challenge. Man, like I said, this is our game of the week. Comment below your score prediction and what you expect to see this weekend. If you predict the correct winner and score, we will get with you, man. $50 Venmo giveaway for the first person to do that, and you got to be the first person. So if multiple people get the correct score and winner, it's whoever commented first. And last year we went through the whole season without anyone hitting that, and there were a few that were close, but hopefully this year's the year to do it. It'll be crazy in week 0. Listen, more previews coming your way. Jacksonville State, Stephen F. Austin. Also, Nebraska Northwestern is another game we're going to do. You can catch me tonight live stream with Off Script. The roundtable is back. We're going to talk this game. We're going to talk FAMU, North Carolina. A big announcement. Jeremy Musa is the starting quarterback for FAMU. We're going to talk that. We're also going to talk the Reese's Senior Bowl watch list that came out for 2023. HBCUs and the SWAC were really represented well in that. We're going to talk all that tonight. 6 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow we'll have our official Alabama A&M preview out with my guy Chauncey Saunders. Been doing big things, man. We're going to be previewing the Bulldogs this upcoming season. But Howard takes the MEAC SWAC Challenge 24-20. Guys, hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. And until next time, the Blue Bloods are out.